everyone, welcome to the Bloom and Beyond podcast, a podcast that uncovers plant history, culture, and management through the lens of science. I'm your host, Peony. How's everyone doing today? I'm doing great because I'm about to talk to one of my favorite plants, Peonies. This plant is so unique. It basically covers all those beautiful characteristics of a plant can. People who live in the South US like me may not be able to see them very often because the environment here in the Southeast is not good enough for them to grow. Joining me today is Dr. Emily Zhou. We are going to talk about this wonderful peonies and some of those fantastic, phenomenal research that she has done over her PhD process. Without further ado, here is my conversation with Dr. Emily Zhou. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome, Dr. Emily Zhou, to the podcast. Before we jump into the topic today, I'd like you to start with the self-introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hello, everybody. First of all, I am assistant professor from University of Central Missouri, and this is my second year to be back to academy. Before this, I was in the industrial and in one of the largest indoor vertical farm, buffer farming, and in the East Coast. Their headquarters was in Manhattan, New York City.
So if you guys know that I talked about this in the previous episode, I have encountered many people from different backgrounds end up going into horticulture, and Dr. Emily Zhou is actually one of them. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you end up getting into horticulture?
That's great because my experience is quite unique. It's different from other people. My Bachelor of Science was in engineering, and I was a HVAC engineer in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. I love plants. I grew up in a farm in central China, the main center of the agriculture. So I grew up with all type of plants. By nature, I know them, and it's always my favorite. But when you are young, it's leading you some other ways. You try to see different opportunity. So I went to engineering, and I worked in the industry for around 10 years in China, in European companies. Eventually, I came to the United States in 2002. So 23 years ago, as an engineer. I was traveling a lot when you are young, when you are single, but later on, I want to go to grad school. So in the choice of grad school, you need to ask yourself what you love and what is your passion. I was in Virginia at that time. I was very close to Virginia Tech. Then I learned that they have a horticulture program. Just by chance, and I asked them if it's possible that I can go to the horticulture to learn everything from the beginning. Fortunately, the department head at that time and my master advisor had a project about seed germination. So it led me, I started my master and I took a lot of courses, both undergraduate and graduate, to fill the gap after I got my master. And I think my passion is in the traditional ornamental horticulture. My PhD and leading to the herbaceous peony. So it is interesting experience, and I learned a lot of plant science, but I am still an engineer. So later on, at the end of my PhD, we started doing hydroponic research. So I was thinking like every step, and I am throwing away my experience and knowledge and switch to horticulture in master, like I throw away all my 10 years of HVAC engineering experience.
Not really, that's the really
Yeah.
case, because
Yeah.
basically your trajectory of horticulture is very unique and very different from other people, because you have a very strong engineering. You have the heart for the plant all the way, and then but you kind of started from scratch, moving to the US and started with your master degree in Virginia Tech, and then starting learn all those things for plants, but ended up with combining your knowledge and skill set from both engineering and horticulture, and for the controlled environment agriculture, which is a hot topic probably 5 years
Yeah.
ago. And so I think it's not to the point that when you were saying you throw away all your experience, all your knowledge, and all your skills, but every mountain you have climbed, every step that you have put into the journey ended up paying out, or you have the reward in the end, because now look at you, you have all those knowledge and years of experience dealing with both engineering and plants, and makes you perfect candidate, perfect role for your current position. I really like your story about how you ended up from pure engineering to ornamental.
Yeah, I can say that because a lot of, and when I was a graduate TA, so I am using my experience. But during my grad school time, a lot of people asked me, why you do that? I wouldn't do this because it's a totally like I spend a lot of more time to fill up the plant science background, and also the master and PhD, we know ornamental plants such as the peonies, we do the asexual propagation. So the seeds like background I learned from master, I also throw it away. But like you said, eventually you never know. You just learn the things, you never know when one day you can use them. And eventually when come to the control environment agriculture, everything cut together. So engineering, plant science, seeds, and we use all the HVAC and in the environment to grow, so everything gets together. And it's
You
just
just learn, like I normally say, all those experience and knowledge and skill that you have gained throughout your years are like growing a plant, and every year, every experience add branches to the plant and make it bigger and make it prettier. So like I said, every step counts. So talking about plants, I know that you always kind of loved plants all the way. Can you tell us what is your favorite plant?
Oh yes. I consider myself a plant scientist, but sometimes even my boss said I have a mindset of engineer because engineers are different thinking way with plant scientists. And yes, and I have both of them. They are speaking two different languages, but I know both of them. Talking about my favorite plants, and I can target it. Normally, I don't discriminate any plants. They are all beautiful. Each of them has its unique beauty. But if you ask me, I have to say it is peony because I gained my doctor of philosophy out of that. During the time of research, I did 4 years. With your research in 1 year, you need to wait another year because it's so hard. So you need to think about every possibility. They are growing during the winter time, especially the holiday time, from November till the next year. And you cannot live for one day. You need to take data, you need to take care of them, you need to do every step. I took so long time and so much effort on this, and it's rewarded. It is such a beautiful plant. And I think a lot of people might heard about the horticulture therapy. So plants is and it has add a lot of value to your mental and spiritual. It is beautiful when you see a plant from a little piece of crown getting out and then getting the most beautiful flower, and that's rewarded. And it has so many types. Like Pink said, it has ornamental plants. and it has beautiful flowers, and it has a strong stem that's green, and you can use it for cut flower, and they use for weddings.
Your reason of like peony being your favorite plant is because it helped you earn your PhD degree. Is interesting and funny and rewarding because a lot of times when I ask people what's your favorite plant, they'll give me various reasons with, oh, this plant is great, this plant is resistant, and then it's easy, it's no maintenance, or for me this plant remind me of home, or anything in between, but no one had told me because this plant gave me the degree of my PhD. This is it's very funny. But like you said, that your PhD or your dissertation was based on peony plant, and you briefly mentioned the use of peony in the U.S. are predominantly used as cut flowers. I live in the South for the whole time that I lived in the United States. I don't see a whole lot of peony in the South, at least in the Southeast US. But I really wish I could say them more because back then when I was in China, I saw them more often. And they are gorgeous. They have those big flower head when they bloom. They were just gorgeous because it's a native to China. You tell us a little bit about like the history of the plant and moving from China all the way to US and to Europe.
Okay, and that's my favorite part. Because both the tree peony and the herbaceous peony, they are native to China. And still now in the northern China, and you can see some wild growing peonies in the north. They have a big range and to grow, and from zone maybe 2 and 3, even they can grow and in zone 8, some cultivars. Yes, China has more than 3,000-4,000 years history growing that, and you can find that in the ancient poetries, and it's a flower of love. It's also a medicinal plant. Some of the varieties, they are using the underground crown, or they call it peony root, and for the herb medicine. And they have white root peony and also have the red root peony. It had a culture and growing. Even the peak time was in around the Tang and Song dynasty. So it was cultivated in the capital, central China, around the Yellow River, and it's everywhere in the gardens. Nowadays, if you go to Luoyang, it was the 1300 years history capital in China. They still have a peony garden. So it's mixed up with tree peonies and herbaceous peonies, because herbaceous peonies can extend the flowering time. So altogether, like it can bloom from late March. My research did that. And until some of the native species, they bloom even in July. So depends on different varieties, and you can see all type of flowers. The cultivation went to Japan, and in the end of 1800, and then introduced to Europe. And Europe and the European and people brought this to America. And the Americans, we learned that in the early 19th century, and suddenly, because of the environment and a lot of climates fits for growing this plant. This plant is also very hardy, and they can grow in different climates.
You mentioned that peony does has like different cultivars and varieties, and in China because it has a very long history of cultivation of this plant, so it does involved with a lot of different varieties and cultivars. Like you said, how many cultivars were in China?
For what we know already, the American Peony Society, and it's not only for United States, also and including Canada and Mexico, majorly Canada. And the registered cultivar is already more than 4,000.
Oh my gosh.
So that's only herbaceous peony. And we also have a tree peony, also have the atoll, and it is a hybrid between tree peony and herbaceous peony. So a lot of different cultivars with different colors, different forms, and the majority of them, they have double flowers, a big head, and have like more colors than the tree peonies.
I have seen people in the South growing peonies, just not as much as I wish it can be like a placed everywhere. I think it also has something to do with the price because one that's available were easily adapted to the southern environment are not that many, and two, those are pretty, I think I can say it's a pretty pricey plant. It's in the high end plant. As I think you mentioned that for wedding purposes, one cot of peony can worth over $6. The limited cultivar available for people to choose from and the higher price of the plant in itself, those two reasons maybe cause the reality where we don't see them very often in the South in general.
I have seen like one of the yellow color and peony cultivar. It's a small plant in a 1 gallon pot. It was the year of 2017 and it cost $120. Yeah. Also the extension. So like the growers, a lot of growers, they don't know or and I went to some conference like a cultivate and some of the growers they came to me. They said like they growed but they don't flower.
There are specific plants that in my heart, every time I think about them, they always give me an instant of feeling of homesick type of thing because of the culture that you have exposed to when you grow up. And then peony is one of them because I think it's a top 10 most famous plant or flower in China, and it represents like a prosperity, and it has a long history of cultivation in the US. It symbolizes freedom, horizon, and the pioneering spirit of the American West. Like you said, it also means true love and used in weddings. So with all those culture and meaning behind the planting, it just gives you extra leisure of the plant. So I think that's sometimes I say it's a plant power. It's not just the plant, it's everything about the plant.
Yeah, it's a famous flower in China, and tree peony is the national flower of China. And in the history, people call that the queen of the flower. But it also needs a lot of skill and to grow it back. That also explains why it's expensive.
Peony is one type of bulbs, just like daffodils, tulips. They normally need vernalization, which means they need a certain period of cold to be able to break dormancy so that they can bloom. I think that's one of the key research that you have done during your PhD, right? Can you tell us a little bit about how different lengths of the cold period influence the plant growth and plant flowering?
As Ping said, the herbaceous peony is one type of, we call it geophyte. So it's similar with the tulips, daffodils, they are bulbs, and some of them, like crocus, they are combs, and some of them, they are rhizomes. The peony is underground stem tissue, we just call and the propagation part and called crown. So it has buds, and those buds is normally grow up during the summer. After flowering is normally flowered in the springtime. Some of them early spring, late spring, depends on the cultivar. So after flower, they started to develop the photosynthesis, they store energy, they started to develop the underground crown. So during the fall time, like September, October time, most of the beds, underground beds is already set. It is critical why this plant is precious. If it's not favorable, if you don't have good care or the environmental is not favorable to the plants and you lose the foliage after flowering or you cut it too early, the buds are not developed enough. Part of my research is studying the buds during the dormancy period, which is the chilling period or the vernalization period. So during that time, looks like it's dormancy, but the underground buds, they are developing. So after the late fall and the upper ground shoots, leaves, and they are starting declining, but all the energy stored in the underground shoot. So they develop the buds. And it is just like tulips. If you don't have enough cold, a lot of the cold hardy types, they won't flower. So they will grow the shoots, but no flower. Most of the growers grow these plants, they have the issue in November and before Thanksgiving. Then leave them either outside or they can put to cooler or cold room. So big portion of my PhD study is about how time and to chilling and compare with the natural chilling, but natural chilling just depends on the weather that year. But we have different models to calculate and the chilling unit. You can either put them to greenhouse, forcing them to flower early in the Valentine's Day.
Wow. So you kind of mentioned that you compared the natural chilling period depending on the location where states that you're in versus the forcing treatment, which just put them into the growth chamber or cooling chamber to force them to go through the vegetation. But you mentioned you were able to force the peony to start flowering during Valentine's Day. In your research, what is the treatment? How long was the chilling or the cold period that you have put them into?
Yeah, and I would like to say that, and before using anything, just the pure chilling. And if you don't have a cold winter, you can put to a cold room, which that's the temperature of 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I did a study about a different period, but I used two cultivars. Sarah Bernhardt is a big pink flower, had a very big double flower head. That's the number one cut flower using worldwide, and it occupies 50% of the peony cut flower market. And even worldwide in Europe and the Netherlands is the biggest flower producer, especially for the bulbs, tulips, same thing. So they are also producing a lot. My research was starting that, and I put them to the constant chilling 3 weeks, 21 days, and it should be enough. After that, you can take it out. Normally, you need to put it to a greenhouse or protection because when they started to emerge, the tender shoot and cannot survive if there's a frost, snow, or cold temperature. If you started in your greenhouse and normal greenhouse conditions started forcing them, like we are normally doing, and started to pot up, and some parts of the northern state, they already have like frost. And the temperature will be below 40. So you can start putting it in mid to late November, and you can put it to December, 3 weeks in 40 degrees Fahrenheit. You can take them out to force them, and it normally flowers in 2 months.
So, for instance, for growers in the north, if they choose not to use forcing the chilling period, they can still do that, and they can still shoot the market just because they have the environment there, and they don't have to spend extra time and effort to putting them into chilling period, so that they can still hit the Valentine market and ways of blooming. But for people who live in the south, if they want to hit the market, they have to go through the chilling period and forcing so that they can hit the market. Or
Absolutely. I did research also on the natural chilling and take them back to greenhouse, just forcing them to grow flower and to grow the plants. So when you have like temperature favorable, they started to emerge and then grow and get flower shoots. And yes, the northern state, you don't need to worry about that. I think, and if it is in the hardiness zone, the 6 and below, and the chilling should satisfied. Zone 7, and it is almost the line. So most of the peonies can grow. The natural chilling should be okay. And to get that in zone 7,
I think one of the things that almost all the growers wants to shorten the production cycle of any given plant, because the faster you can grow plants,
yes.
the more plants that you can grow, more money you can gain. So can you tell us a little bit about what you have learned from your research so that people can have a better understanding of how they can use that to grow peony better and faster?
Oh, yes, yes, absolutely. My research was done in Virginia, and I was working together with a large nursery production, and those are the battlefield farms, and it's in the central and Virginia. They have like thousands of peonies, and they starting to get the crown in mid-November every year. And it's normally they using the crown as small and have 3 to 5 buds that you can pot them up in a 1 gallon pot. So the traditional process is after pot them up, they leave them outside. And the first year, they grow through the natural chilling. After the winter, the first springtime, a containerized peony should have like 3 and plus flowering shoots. That means the shoots with the flowers. They are in the market in the flowering time, normally May, and some cultivars maybe late April. Normally the production cycle, it is 18 months, 1.5 years. My research is majorly for the containerized nursery, and then they sell the peony in a pot. Majorly targeting is the home garden. Some years, the chilling unit is not enough. You need to wait and it's reaching the ideal of the units. Then you can take it to greenhouse to forcing in order to get the Valentine Day blooming. I compare with the controlled chilling and in a cold room, and also the natural chilling. Another way, if people don't have a lot of place and don't have that big chilling place, and using the plant growth regulator, the gibberellic acid, the GA3, and it can replace some of the chilling, and it can make your peony flowering. I have an extension publication from Virginia Tech, and later on you can find out. We use the gibberellic acid, GA3, and ideal concentration is 100 part per million. ppm. Normally, my suggestion, I did several research, either you do it before chilling or after chilling. And the good suggestion is, and after you finish the chilling, either natural or you put it forced and in a constant cold room, 1 week. And after you taking it to greenhouse for forcing, you apply the drench of gibberellic acid, and it can satisfy some of the chilling. You can shorten the growing cycle. So that's a big benefit for growers. Imagine you have 10,000 of potted peonies. You need to occupy a lot of space and care. So you need to water them, fertilizer them, you need to take care of them, you need to cut them back after one season. In 18 months' time, it can shorten to 5-6 months' time.
Wow. So basically, if you're using the GA3 for drenching to grow the peonies, you can, of course, you have to do it right. And if you do it right, you can actually reduce the production cycle of peony from 18 months to 5-6 months. That's crazy.
Even for the Valentine Day supply, like you do that till that time is 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, but you need a cold room and you need a greenhouse.
For all those growers who wants to use the GA for peony, the plant has to go through the either natural chilling period or the forced chilling period. It's just using GA3 can actually add on benefits of reducing the production cycle on top of everything you do. Got it.
If you're using the right cultivar, like to satisfy the standard marketing, you can sell them with 3 flowering sheets. And that can reduce at least a year of production cycle. So it's a great benefit.
That's great. That's great for any peony growers who wants to cut down the production cycle. They need to think about using that just so that they can save tons of effort, space, and money in general.
Also, I calculated the cost. It is very low cost. For each of the pot, the cost just less than 10 cents. So it is very easy and everybody can do that. And if you get the right concentration, and you can do one day and thousands of plants.
I think for anyone who have seen peony and who deal with peony would know peony generally have big head flowers, which is why people love it. But it can also cause problem for growers who grow them, because if they grow too big, they're pretty fragile. When you are dealing with the very big plant on the container, it can cause a lot of problems, especially when you're moving them around or when you apply inputs in there. So I think one of the things that people are trying to do, or people have down the practice, is to use PGR, the plant growth regulators, especially the retardants, to make it shorter, make it more compact, so that it'll become more easy for growers to handle when they grow the peony plant. I guess there are so many different retardants that's available for people to choose from, but with your experience, the 2 retardants that you have used, or 3, what is the best or the most effective in terms of making the plant more compacted and have more flower heads?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, especially for the containerized grower. And it is a problem. This plant is beautiful, but normally it is have too heavy head, and they can grow quite tall. The heavy head can drop, especially in the landscape. If there is a wind or rain during the flowering time, they all drop into the ground. For the nursery grower, producer, it is also the shipping and handling, and it's a big problem. If they are too big, they can fall down, and then they crack the stem, especially the flowering stem. Expensive plants, you cannot sell it. One of my research is using plant growth regulator, we call it plant retardant. The major function of the plant retardant is to make the plant more compact, shorter, and more stems and stronger. Another advantage of that is your plant, the leaf getting greener and look like more full. And the flower should and get also stronger. It's not easy to fall down. If you put a sticking, and that's more money and time. and consuming, especially the growers, they don't want to do that. My research, and I did use together the chilling and with the GA3. But I use two types of growth retardant. One is the unicolizol and another is the paclobutrazol. Overall, and the unicolizol, and it is more significant. The clobutrazol, it is less effective for herbaceous peonies at least. So my suggestion is to use the unicolizol and the gibberellic acid together. The application method, if you want to have a compact and plants has more flower heads, and you can use the unicolizol in 15 part per million concentration for each 1 gallon container, just 12 ounces per pot. The application is almost at the same time after you satisfied the chilling and moving them either to the greenhouse, forcing them to flower early. It is also safe to apply, easy to apply, and very economical. I did calculate the cost, so it is similar to the GA3.
So basically, with your experience and your research, would you suggest the peony grower to apply GA3 along with unicolizol, and with for people who live in the more border zone 7, apply those two chemicals along with a forced chilling period? Is that what you would suggesting for growers in like a border state?
Yes, because if you are in a northern state, you don't need GA3 because you already have enough chilling. And if you do natural chilling, it is already enough, but you just need to apply the unicolizol. And then they, especially for the container growers, you have more compact plants, and they have more greener foliage color, and it is more marketable. And for the border states like 17, they can do both.
And I think it's pretty straightforward because J3 and unicolizol can be both applied as a drench. And can they mix those two together so that instead of doing two drenches, they can do one drench all at the same time? Because in that case, it can save labor and everything.
I haven't done that. I first applied the GA3, the drench, and the unicolizol, and I do normally a day after. So both of the growth retardant I was using, unicolizol and paclobutrazol, and they can stay. And even you apply that, you water them, they stayed in the media, and they stayed with the pot for a long, long time. I just don't suggest them to get a tank mixed together because I don't know. This is also the preliminary and research I did with 4 seasons. And I need to do more research in order to get that.
I think the unicolizol can also be applied as spray, as a foliage spray, and also dip or pre-plant bulb dip.
Yeah. I don't suggest in the pre-planting dip. So this is a crown. You first do that because normally when you got the crowns before you pot up, they have some fungicide treatment. So you don't want to wash it out. The research also showing you apply it earlier and during the chilling or before chilling, and it's not as good as like you apply it after chilling.
Okay.
I know the big growers are coming from the Netherlands, and some of cultivars, they are from the northern states, Oregon, Washington state, and also the Great Lakes around there, Minnesota, Michigan. They have some growers and they are selling those.
Okay, so the application time also played a big role in terms of the effect of the chemical.
Yeah, I don't suggest the pre-dipping, and I also don't suggest with a foliar spray. And because you don't know like what stage, and if you do, you want to affect it as long as possible because when when the shoots get out, is already with the flower buds. The buds is already before it emerge. So you want to affect the shoot growth. And when the plants are small, it does not have enough surface area to absorb the foliage spray. And also like there's other difficulties to do that. The plants, they are not uniform size. Some of the large, some of the smaller. So you cannot make sure each of the plants receive the same amount of the plant growth regulator. So the drench is the best way. Since drench is easy, like each of the pots will receive the right amount and it stays with the media, the substrate particles, even with the pots.
Yeah.
It's also easy to do the drench.
Yeah, sounds great. Can you tell us a little bit about your current project or interest? Are you going to carry along with your peony work to your current job? And what is the plan? What is your current project or interest?
I can do the peony work, but at the end, I came to the control environment and agriculture. Just like my introduction earlier, I am an HVAC engineer. When I started my PhD, there's very little people in the United States doing the control environment agriculture. I contact with that at the end, so it leading to my postdoc, and I build up an indoor vertical farm and doing a lot of hydroponic research. I was doing the peony work still, like I started with control environment agriculture later after my postdoc time, and I did enough of the academic research and I want to go to the real industry. And because in control environment agriculture, the highest technology or the facilities or the equipment was in industrial. Because we don't have the equipment, we cannot do research in the universities. And so I went to indoor vertical farming company and being as a research and development scientist, doing a lot of research. I know it's a long way still. And for the control environment agriculture, there's a lot of things we still don't know. That's the reason I went back to the academy, because in the vertical farm, the industry and has experiencing, if you know, in the past few years, a lot of difficulties, bankrupt one by one because we don't know enough. And my idea is going back to the academy, being a professor. I see a lot of growers, a lot of farmers, a lot of even the technicians, they don't know the basic things for the control environment agriculture. It is an industrial together with plant science and engineering. Plant scientists and engineers have two different languages. That engineers, they want to have a universal system. You can grow all plants, also plant stages. But for the plant scientist, we say it's impossible because each of them, they require different ones. So, and my job now, I do all type of research. I'm a plant scientist, I'm a horticulturist. So I do ornamentals, I also do vegetables and fruits. And so I do environment agriculture and research, but if it's favorable, like I get support, I would like to continue. So the peony work, it is lifelong as well as the control environment agriculture. So we always learn something new. So it's a science.
Yeah, so basically with your knowledge and experience in both backgrounds from engineering and horticulture, I guess CEA, the control environment agriculture, is the best fit for you to shine with all your knowledge and skill. And who knows, you may come up with a brand new idea of growing peonies in CEAs and then shorten the production cycle significantly and helping the grower to make tons of $1 million by adapting your technology. Who knows? No one knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I just tested a few of the plant growth regulator. Plant growth regulator is one big group. Some of them, I haven't tried any of them.
So with that in mind, if people wants to find more about your research, where do you recommend they go and look for more?
If some of the grower listened to our talk, if they are interested in, we can do calibration. I have students and I have a space I can do the work. Yeah, if somebody interested in that, and you can find me.
What would be a best way for people to follow your work?
I have a LinkedIn and people can find me or go to the University of Central Missouri page. I am in the Department of Agriculture.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. Thank you, Dr. Zhou, for joining us today. This is great. And I thank you for taking your time to talk with today. As always, I'll make sure that I put the link and some of the work that you sent me to the show notes so that people can learn more about this topic and any other topic that we feature on this. Again, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Till the next time, stay healthy and go plants. Thank you. Bye.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Besides the resources that our guest speaker provided us today, AFE also provides additional resources for this topic. Just go to DLI Maps and they also have free DLI poster. And again, I will add all the links in the show notes to save you time. Go check out. This episode in our first season is made possible through an educational grant from the American Floral Endowment, whose research priority helped shape the topics that are featured. To learn more about AFE and access their research and educational resources, visit their website at endowment.org. Conversation like this only happens when you support the show. For more information and find ways to support us, please go to bnbpod.com, bnbpod.com. If you like what you are hearing, spread the word and share this podcast with the people you love. Make sure you hit that subscription button and give a review for the podcast. And as always, go check out the show notes to learn more about this topic and other topics we featured on the show at bnbpod.com. Thank you for listening. Till the next time, stay healthy and go plants.